pleasure.
More than 50,000 people are on the waiting list for the Army Corps of Engineers Blue Roof program. As of yesterday, they had about 450 roofs repaired. Officials say it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to get all the temporary roofs put up. To keep up with the demand, the Corps is looking to double and even triple the number of repairs they do a day by potentially adding a fourth contractor to the mix, which an official tells me will put them at 800 roofs per day.
And viral social media posts led many to believe that FEMA was issuing widespread reimbursements for generator purchases. Spokesman John Mills says, yes, you can potentially get reimbursed, but only under specific conditions. You can get up to $800 for a generator, but Mills says it had to have been purchased after August 26th, and it had to be while your power was out due to the storm.
If your power is back on, you will likely not be eligible if you go out and buy a generator now.
To get reimbursed up to $250 for a chainsaw, you need to document that that chainsaw was used to clear something that was obstructing your ability to drive on and off your property. Fallen trees in the yard, unfortunately, won't count. Today, Governor John Bel Edwards announced a 29th Ida-related fatality has been confirmed. This time, a 70-year-old man out of St. Tammany. He's the 13th Ida victim to have died of heat exhaustion.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
The circulation with Nicholas is near Houston, the heaviest of the rainfall over southeast Louisiana. So there's a separation of more than 200 miles from the circulation center and the rain. And that rain is really starting to slacken off, as looking at radar now, we're starting to see some drying conditions across St. Mary Parish as well as Terrebonne. So it looks like we'll get more breaks in that rain during the late evening, overnight, and through the day tomorrow. So today looks like it was the wettest of our days from the associated moisture of Nicholas, as the dry air will begin to bring more breaks in that rainfall tomorrow, and then more scattered showers and thunderstorms into the rest of the week. We're not unfortunately done with the rainfall, as we'll continue to see scattered showers and thunderstorms through the weekend and into early next week. No cold fronts, unfortunately, on the horizon for the next 7 days. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL meteorologist Chris Franklin.
And I'm Matt Doyle, WWL First News.
From the station you turn to when it counts, WWL-AMFM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station. This is Ida Recovery Connection with attorney Doug Sunseri. Connect now on the Oakland Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870. Now, beaming back to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studio, here's Doug.
Hey, Doug Sunseri. Good evening. I'm usually saying good morning on Sunday mornings, but good evening, and I'm beaming back from Mandeville, Louisiana, for the Ida Recovery Connection, where we're going to answer all your Hurricane Ida insurance questions, which there are many. You got flood, you got wind, you got roofs, you got labor costs, you got supply costs, you got additional living expenses, you got civil authority, you got all these questions, and we're going to point you in the right direction, because we have to have the money flowing in the state, southeast Louisiana, from insurance companies so we can rebuild. So we'll be on Tuesday and Wednesday nights from 8 to 10. We're going to be on through mid-October, and we're going to be here. We'll answer all your questions. We're going to also have guests. Today we're going to have Kevin Manali, who's been a building consultant, claims estimator for homeowners and businesses who have had damaged property. And he's going to be on after in the next segment. He's going to be here to just tell us how to walk through the process of dealing with your claims adjuster from the insurance company, what information they need, how you could respond to the initial adjustment and the unconditional tender they're going to make after they make their initial inspection, unless the damages are below the deductible. So he'll be here. He can answer any type of questions. And each night we'll probably have a guest. Tomorrow night we're going to have Eric White, who's a roofing consultant, and he's going to talk about roofs, some of the issues regarding insurance companies paying for roofs, for patch jobs versus replacement. Also metal roofs for a lot of commercial businesses. They have a lot of nuances where, they could be damaged even though there's no visible damage. And also, our program director, Ian Hoke, I guess my boss, he had said, since it's nighttime, I could sort of go wild a little bit. So we may do that. Ian, what do you think about that? So But we're going to, give us a call at 260 or text us 260-1870 on the text and talk line, and we'll be glad to answer your text. And, first of all, just to introduce who I am, I'm attorney Doug Sunseri. Been practicing law for 32 years. I've been affiliated with WWL for 14 years. Myself and Albert Nico, my law partner, have had a show on WWL since for the last 14 years on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10. It's called All Things Legal. So we're in a different time. I'm in a different time slot. So this is the first time you may be hearing me. But basically, my 32 years, I've had 3 careers, I guess, within my law practice. Initially, I was in the sports industry in various capacities. I had worked initially for John Meekum, who was the first owner of the Saints, or his counsel, Bill Becknell, and I was carrying Bill's briefcase as a young lawyer right out of law school. In fact, it's a very interesting thing. When I used to speak to St. Paul about sports law, and I asked people, the young, the seniors, I said, do you know who the first owner of Saints were? And they raised their hand, and the most common answer I received was Al Copeland. And I said, nope, Mr. Copeland wasn't. The first owner was John Meekum. So we work with him. I work with Mr. Benson, Tom Benson, with special assignments, work with the Saints. I was an NFL agent for 10 years, represented 40 or 50 NFL players. And then had a second career, I guess, as far as just a regular law practice with business practice, litigation, estate planning, and family. And then the third aspect of our practice has been disaster recovery with, since Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Gustav, Hurricane Rita, Hurricane Isaac, and the Baton Rouge flood in 2016. And here we are today. I was hoping we would never have to go through this again, like Hurricane Katrina, but this is sort of, where we are. And we've had we've done about 2,000 claims against insurance companies. So we're pretty battle tested, and we understand what the positions that the insurance company is going to take. And the first aspect of this is we want to help you, one, maximize your recovery in your insurance policy. Because what I've always talked about is you're going to have to be an advocate for your position. When the insurance adjuster comes in, he's going to look at the visible damage, but he's not going to look for the inconspicuous damage or the hidden damage. And it's not really his job to do that. It is your job to present the full extent of the damages. And there's several ways you can do that, and we're going to talk about that. The other part is you're going to have to advocate. Advocate. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with going through this process. A lot of people, for example, when they buy a car, they're very uncomfortable about the negotiation process, where you have to negotiate with the car salesman and the sales manager, where you go back and forth. It really upsets a lot of people, and there's a high level of discomfort. Now, for lawyers and people in businessmen, real estate developers, real estate agents, we do that second nature. But a lot of other people really struggle with that, and as far as their skill set and how they're wired. But in order to do this, to maximize your recovery, you're going to have to advocate for yourself. And a lot of times, there'll be a lot of issues out there that you should be paid on, that the insurance companies may have a different view. And what you have to do is advocate. And a lot of times they'll change their minds. Just because you asked for it, you were insistent on it, always be polite, always be respectful, but be straightforward and advocate for your position. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, some of the positions, the areas of controversy. When I was on with Don Dubuque yesterday, we talked about what are the 3 biggest issues I'm seeing right now in the 2 weeks after the recovery of Hurricane Ida and a lot of the insurance issues. One is the issue regarding whether the insurance companies are going to replace your roof or pay for a patch or a repair. Now, from a realistic standpoint, if your deductible's high, and the sole damage that you have in your structure is only roof damage, and then the insurance company determines that it just needs to be repaired and not replaced, you're probably going to come under your deductible, and you probably would not get any type of payment. Whereas a lot of times, if you do get a replacement, at least a portion of your damages would exceed that deductible. So one of the issues is a lot of the insurance companies are using a criteria as to determining if your roof needs to be replaced or not. Maybe a criteria that wasn't used in the past, and maybe a criteria that's not the best criteria to determine whether your roof needs to be replaced. And tomorrow we're going to have Mr. Eric White, roofing consultant, who's going to tell us that criteria. But I could tell you this as far as sealing, for seal tab roofs. Part of the idea of a seal tab roof is the tiles are sealed. And when you have 90-mile-an-hour winds, 95-mile-an-hour winds over the course of a 4 or 5 minutes, those seal tabs could be permanently unsealed. And I'm just relating to you what I hear from experts. I'm not saying it based on my own analysis. As lawyers, we take the analysis of someone else and we present it. And so the presentation that I have made, and the presentation that a lot of experts have stated, was a lot of these roofs who have seal tab roofs cannot sustain winds more than 90, 95 miles an hour for more than 5 minutes, or your roof is done. And that's basically what they said. And so there's a lot of arguments to that, because what good is it to have a seal tab roof that doesn't seal? That in itself is a contradiction, and Eric's going to talk about that. The number 2 issue that they have is civil authority. If you are a business owner and you have business interruption, or you had to evacuate, but you didn't have a lot of damage to the insured structure, well, the only way you could get additional living expenses or business interruption, which are, one's a business policy, one's a homeowner policy, is through civil authority. If you have physical damage that makes your house inhabitable or uninhabitable, and you're able to, and you had to evacuate, well, your additional living expenses, if you're a homeowner, will be activated. Your business interruption would be activated if you had damage in your business that made it where you could not operate. But if you evacuated and when you returned, you had very little damage, in absence of civil authority, the insurance company would have no obligation to pay you business interruption for that time period you were down, or they didn't have to pay you for your additional living expenses for your evacuation cost, hotel costs, mileage, meals, all the extra money you spent because you had to evacuate. Now, the issue is this, and I'm paraphrasing what the government officials said. They said, it is too late to call for an evacuation with Hurricane Ida, but we would have. If you can get out, storm comes, and then after the storm, they say, don't come back. And if you do come back, we're going to have curfews, which are going to limit your opportunity to access your home and your business. So it's our position that civil authority does apply. And Commissioner Jim Donnellan issued an order and said, I am ordering the insurance companies to treat these claims as if civil authority was activated. Now, there's a question as to whether Commissioner Donnellan's directive is going to be followed. I know one company, I don't want to say who it is, but they have a lot of commercials during basketball games with Chris Paul. And so that'll give you a hint. They may be saying, you know what, we're not going to listen to the commissioner, and we're still not going to activate civil authority. My understanding at USAA and possibly Allstate may have. It's not confirmed, but I've heard reports of that. So that's the second big issue: is civil authority going to be activated and be a method of activating additional living expenses or business interruption? So that's the second question. The third question is the estimates that the insurance companies are doing. A lot of times, what they'll do is they'll do an initial walkthrough, and when they do the walkthrough, they'll look at some damages and they'll record those damages, and then they will issue a claim summary. In that claim summary, they're going to make you an unconditional tender, and we'll discuss that as to why they have to do that under the law. Is if they know that there's undisputed damages, they have to get it to you within 30 or 60 days, or they could have penalties of attorney's fees, double damages if they don't. So so again, in a lot of these claim summaries, they're using pricing that is old. They're using pricing that is pre-IDA and labor costs and supply cost. And it's not a general reflection of the true prices today, and it's sort of a low ball estimate. So those are the three issues we're going to talk about. When we get back, we're going to talk to Kevin Manali, who's a claims adjuster. You could call us at 260-1870, 260-1870. This is Attorney Doug Sunseri with the IDA Recovery Connection. We'll be right back after this brief time out with Kevin Manali to discuss claims adjusters.
You love people and people love you.
Your friends depend on you.
You believe in having a good time, but when times are tough, you become even tougher.
Because you're from Louisiana.
And Louisiana is a state of mind.
COVID hit the whole world.
But Ida hit
Is
Louisiana.
Kevin on yet?
At 150 miles per hour.
All right, we
Ida
have
is all
Doug
gone.
and Mr.
We're all
Manel
Hey.
on, and
We
he'll
love
be ready to go.
Louisiana, and we
And
love
the
you.
last
Morgan's
commercial in
decided
this
to
one is going to be
And I'm giving you
ZipRecruiter.
one for free.
Doug,
It's
do you ever
called
get sleep?
Louisiana is a state of mind.
And I never sleep. Come on.
About it.
And you're going to enjoy telling them about the resilience of Louisiana.
Louisiana is a state of mind.
We're making 5,000 pendants.
To claim one for yourself or someone you love, visit Ramses.com.
All we need is your name.
I also have a
email
guy
address,
from
Let's set
Hammond
one
who's
aside for
holding
you
his
and
name is
send you a
Jim, and
reminder if
he
you
he
forget.
has a question
Never
about
forget
food
that
loss.
we love you.
Go to Ramses.com, the website of Ramses Diamond Jewelers on veterans between Bonneville and
When you can get around to
So
it.
the dream was to build your very own law practice. Be your own boss, call all the shots. But have things like billing, HR, timekeeping, and all the other management stuff turned your dream into a nightmare? Take charge of your practice with Lexicon. We're the intersection of practice management software and legal support services for your firm. You'll get more billable and livable hours back. Lexicon marks the spot for all your practice management needs. Visit lexiconservices.com/intersection to get the whole story or schedule a demo.
This financial update with CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is sponsored by Dell. You may want to rethink an early retirement.
Your benefit will be permanently lower for the rest of your life. That could affect a non-working spouse.
Dell's semi-annual sale for business has arrived. Save up to 45% on Dell computers with Windows 10 Pro. Enjoy specials on Dell docks, monitors, and servers. Succeed anywhere with Windows 10 Pro. So call 877-ASK-DELL to speak with a Dell Technologies advisor. 877-ASK-DELL.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads.
Figure on breaks to be 20, 35, and 50. That will give you sort of an even spread in here and won't sound so rushed.
Recall that
Okay.
ZipRecruiter makes hiring
20,
faster
And easier.
And 82% of you will note that you can try ZipRecruiter for free today. But you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. 82% of you will keep in mind that ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified people for your job and actively invites them to apply.
Scott, is that you? Who are you talking to?
82% of you will also know that I live with my mom. But the most important thing to note is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Will you be part of the 82% who remember where you can try ZipRecruiter for free? It's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Again, that exclusive link is ZipRecruiter.com/free. How much? Free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's continuing coverage of the Ida Recovery on WWL-AMFM.com and the Odyssey app. Reach attorney Doug Sunseri now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, the IDA Recovery Connection. In my other life, we followed Mike Haas on with Sports Talk and the Saints Show. In my sports life, I was one of the first people who met Mike when he came here from Lubbock, Texas, taking a job with WWL. We played golf together. He beat me by 25 strokes because he was a golfer, I think, at James Madison. And we've been friends since. And I'm thrilled that he's the Saints play-by-play guy, and I think he's going to have the same impact as a Saints play-by-play guy as Jim Henderson did in his long career with the Saints as a play-by-player. So congratulations, Mike. And he did a great job on Sunday on the opening day. Let's go to phone lines before we go to Kevin. We got Jim on the line. He's got a question regarding food loss. Hey, Jim, you on the Ida Recovery Connection with Attorney Doug Sunseri.
Hey, Doug. I appreciate you taking the call, but it's interesting. I caught part of your conversation earlier about civil authority, and that kind of applies to us as well. But my direct question was, we have a couple refrigerators and freezers in the deep freeze. And of course, the power went out for over a week, week and a half almost. But the insurance company is saying, well, they aren't going to cover it because we didn't have, any damage that caused the loss on our property because, well, all our stuff is underground, but everything feeding our subdivision is overhead. So it's not like we had any control over that. So do we need to just simply continue to advocate for ourselves in that situation, or what should we do?
I think number one, most policies read if you have a power outage on the insured premises, it would be covered. But if you have a power outage outside of the insured premises, in absence of civil authority and in absence of physical damage, it would not be covered. So depending on the insurance company, I would continue to advocate because you've actually got 2 years before you have to file suit. So you have a 2-year prescriptive period. And a lot of times, the insurance company will tell you no, and they will tell everybody no with the intention of possibly changing their mind later. But the only difference is when they say no, they may be thinking they would get rid of 50% of the potential claimants. Because once, a lot of times when people say no, they say, okay, I'm not going to try again. And then sometimes maybe the threat of litigation, the threat, maybe the commissioner's office comes down a little harder on them. They may change their position. So I would continue to advocate for the next 6 months. If you do not get anywhere in the next 6 months and they don't change their position, then you might have to look for some legal help. Because
should we do all that advocation in writing?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, what I did, I'm going to get my daughter as an attorney in our firm, and she researched every time a government official said, "Don't come back." And if you can, Nico and Sunseri Law Firm, if you send me an email or you call us tomorrow, 504-837-1304, I will send you a copy of what Katie had researched and all the times a government official said, "Don't come back," or, get out. And I would send that to the claims adjuster. And, a lot of these claims adjusters can be persuaded. And again, if they think that you're going to take it to the next level, it might cost them more to defend that case than just to pay you. So based on economics, if you advocate, they may agree to pay it. But you got to be a real pain in the rear end too. I mean, you're going to have to really just.
I'm good at that.
Well, good. That's the best quality. Now, polite and respectful.
Right. Of course. Be civil about it.
But be just so they say, man, just get this guy out my hair. Let's pay him. So if you want, call me at 504-837-1304. Call our office. I will send you Katie's memo to inter-office memo on all those times, and you can just cut and paste it, sort of clean it up or, use it for your purposes. And I would send it to them and say, this is why civil authority applies. And not only that, the commissioner of insurance agrees with me. And I'm sure that 12 jurors and a judge who had his house flooded may possibly agree with me too. So I would do that. Give it about 6 months, because a lot of times during Katrina, they had actually denied certain claims, wind versus flood, certain type of damages. And after you got through the claims process, they had a couple of court rulings. They sort of did a 180. So I would always monitor that. And what insurance company do you have?
It's Farm Bureau.
Farm Bureau? Okay. Well, just, just keep after it. But when you hit that brick wall, I would, and you feel like there's no chance that they're going to change your mind, it may be worth it to get an attorney, because those additional living expenses add up. Also, count your mileage. I think you get 52 cents a mile. So a lot of people are going back and forth from, New Orleans area to Jackson, Mississippi, or Shreveport, maybe 5 or 6 times. Put that in there, but put all your expenses in there that caused an additional expense, and put it on a spreadsheet. Send it to them. I'll send you the memo. You put all the times that a government official said, stay away or get out if you can, and then you have, if you have to go to the litigation route, you're going to have a nice piece of evidence, and to show the jury, and they're going to say, the commissioner of insurance thought it was reasonable. I think the jurors who had their own experiences with insurance companies would think it's reasonable. And it's amazing. During Katrina, I saw a federal judge become unglued because the criteria that claims adjuster required for paying a claim was so stringent that the judge just got unglued. She was like, my house was flooded, and I'm a federal judge, and I couldn't be expected to do that. You're expecting other people to do that. And the claims adjuster sort of melted in his chair and paid up. So I'm just saying that we're all human, and we've experienced that. So I would do that. I'd be very document intensive. Send it 4 or 5 times. Ask for it, and they may give it to you. They may negotiate with you a little bit, saying I'll give you 50, 60, 70% if you just leave me alone. You'll have to make a decision whether you take that or you want the whole amount. And if not, if you still keep hitting a brick wall, maybe you have to get some help. All right.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a great evening.
We're going to go to break, and we're going to take Kevin Manali. We're going to ask him some questions. He's on hold. He's been a claims adjuster. He's probably adjusted over 2,000 claims for us since Hurricane Katrina. He's going to sort of walk us through the process on how to deal with the claims adjusters and how to maximize your initial claim from the outset. So we'll be right back on Attorney Doug Sunseri and the Ida Recovery Connection. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
It's good to see the teams back out on the gridiron. Lucky for us, that was just week 1. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, is putting you in the center of the action for week 2. New customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit by signing up using code BIG870. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes.
We don't have anybody on
Download
hold,
the DraftKings app now and use code
Say again, please.
We don't have anybody on hold.
This week, new customers can get a free
No, not yet. I've got somebody coming in here, but
Okay,
I'll
we'll
tell him to.
Well, he could ask
Kevin here, and it'll be a while.
That's
He
code
can ask Kevin
BIG870.
questions, though.
Only at
Just let me
DraftKings,
know
the
what he wants
official
to talk
daily
about.
fantasy partner of
Right.
And then we can bring him in and let Kevin answer questions. So a lot of them want to ask Kevin
for details.
At Oakland Heart
Okay,
Jewelers,
I'll
we offer
answer
a
it and see what we
selection
got.
of breathtaking
All right.
diamond jewelry. Choose from dazzling rings, earrings, bracelets, and necklaces like no other, and in every price range. Shop jewelry from the Oakland Heart Collection, designed exclusively
Nobody
in
there.
New Orleans by
Nobody
our
there.
award-winning craftsmen.
We're free and
Here
clear.
in our Metairie Road store. For that special jewelry for that one-of-a-kind love, shop smart for the best prices possible at Oakland Heart Jewelers. Beautiful in more ways than one.
Rejuvenate your nights with Rejuvame. RejuvameMedical.com.
Where do you go when you want to sell your old gold jewelry?
CausewayCoinCo.com.
For all station contest rules, go to WWL.com/rules.
For eligible individuals 18 or older only. Not available in Oregon or West Virginia. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With hearing aids from Lively, everything is done remotely in the comfort of your home, from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic. So much better. With Lively, you get premium Bluetooth-enabled hearing aids at thousands less than you might expect. The best hearing aid technology is now affordable and convenient. Your hearing aids are sent right to your door. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week. No charge.
Ah, you people at Lively are wonderful.
With Lively hearing aids, you get free shipping, 3 years of follow-up care included free, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage.
One more short one after this, and we go live.
Ever thought possible. Now get $100 off your hearing aids when you go to listenlively.com/radio. That's listenlively.com/radio. TENLIVELY.com/RADIO.
Navian tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navian because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navian's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navian contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Back to Ida Recovery Connection on WWL AMFM.com and the Odyssey app. You can get expert advice now from attorney Doug Sunseri on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, the Ida Recovery Connection. You know, when we had the show Sunday, I got a few texts saying you didn't talk sports. I said we had to go wall to wall for the Hurricane Ida Ida claim, insurance claims. So we did that. But I will say two words for about 2 seconds. LSU, extremely mediocre. Mediocre does not cut it in the SEC. Jameis Winston, great composure. Can he do it for 16 games? All right, let's go to our guest, Kevin Manali, who's probably done a couple of thousand claims since Hurricane Katrina. Kevin, he was estimator, building consultant for the homeowners and businesses who were damaged. And hey, Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Doug, thanks for having me on.
We talked to you about, various aspects of this. Now, what do you actually do, and how does that help the homeowner in a situation like Hurricane Ida?
Well, what I basically do is I usually go in after the insurance adjuster that goes in, produces his work, gives his scope of damage, and then I will take his scope of damage, and I go back through the house along with the homeowner and try to pick up on all the little things that it takes to get from point A to point Z that the adjuster may have overlooked or just missed or made mistakes on, and I try to correct those and also inject the new damage that may have occurred into a new format that I do as far as on Xactimate, of course, basically as a supplemental estimate. And then I present the estimate to the attorney that's involved for the homeowner, and they take it from there and try to negotiate settlement. And if it has to go further into mediations or court, of course, I'm always there too as the expert witness.
Okay, and while I got you, see if you can improve that telephone connection just a little bit. I don't know if you're on speaker, but
how's this sound a little bit better here?
A little tinny, but it'll do. Now, one of the things you do when you do your reinspection, you use the same computer program as most insurance companies, which is called Xactimate. And, that's probably helpful as opposed to maybe a contractor who just writes a 2-page estimate saying dining room, $12,000 repair, living room, $15,000 repair, or does it by a square footage. Can you tell us why the Xactimate program is very good for the homeowner to use in response to a supplement when you want to supplement your claim in connection with the initial payment of the insurance company?
Sure. With Xactimate, you can break down everything room by room. That's the way the insurance companies do it. That's the way I do it. It's so much easier because it's so much more detailed than there's some contractor throwing out $15,000 or $20,000 estimate to redo the kitchen, let's say. And it's not breaking down what that money is being spent on. It's the cabinets and the quality of the cabinets, the types of floor, if there's backsplash, what type of backsplash, all the different things that come with basically doing a renovation. You need to know the quality of everything in order to get the pricing correct. And if you can't get the pricing correct, then you get a bad estimate. So is the connection a little bit better?
Yeah, stay where you are. Don't move. Don't move. All right.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
Okay, and so the Xactimate, basically, when you do the reinspection, it's easier for the insurance companies to digest because you kept comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges, as opposed to trying to fit a round peg in a square hole.
That's exactly right, because like I was saying, let's take in the kitchen, for example. You may have cabinets that are just general contractor grade cabinets, or you may have the soft close type cabinets that are a little bit more expensive. You could have really decorative cabinets. So Xactimate affords you the ability to put those different qualities into the program to generate the proper price structure, which you'll find a lot of times would be, and sticking on that same subject, is some adjusters will just make a generalization for kitchen cabinets, and that's basically it. And put the, the linear footage and everything on there, but it's the wrong quality. And these are the types of things that I pick up on, be it the wrong quality, or they don't have the right fills that go with the cabinetry, or countertops maybe Formica that look like marble, or marble that they just put in as Formica. So there's a lot of things that go into it on my end of it to make it right. That way I catch all this, make it in a supplement, and then when it's presented to the insurance company through the homeowner's attorney, then we all know what we're going after. And there's no ambiguity between, well, the adjuster allowed for this, how does this compare to what you're saying, and things along that line. The supplemental estimates really work well. And it's clean, it's clear, it's concise for everybody. The homeowner can understand it, attorneys can understand it, insurance company, their people can understand it. It just makes it a lot easier all the way around to do it that way.
Okay. You know what I think we're going to do is we're going to take an early break. And Kevin, I'm going to get you to call back and see if you can get a bit better connection. So we'll take a break in a minute or two. But I do want to give an explanation of this as far as how what the insurance company's duties are. Once the insurance companies know what the undisputed damage is, they have a duty to pay that out within 30 or 60 days. They cannot hold it back. They can't hold it back. What they have to do is if they can see that $30,000 is due and they're not disputing damages, they have to get that out within 30 or 60 days, or they could be subject to penalties and attorney's fees in court. And I always give the analogy: if someone owes you $10 and you get the first $5 in your pocket, it's a lot easier to collect the remaining $5 as opposed to trying to collect the whole $10 at once. And so the law says, and it's a very good law, that the insurance companies have to pay what's undisputed when they know it's undisputed, when they are presented with information, such as an estimate from Kevin and Xactimate, because once they present it in Xactimate, they can't say they don't understand the estimate. They can't say it's not specific enough. They can't say the scope is not defined because it's the same darn program that they use. So, they have a duty to do that. And typically what happens is, and I'm just going to give you a scenario, the insurance company walks through and assesses damages and they pay $50. Then the insured has the duty of quantifying the damages if they want more than $50. So if you had someone who did an Xactimate program or a contractor and it's $125, you submit that to the insurance company. At that point, they have to figure out of self-preservation, how much of that extra supplement should we pay so that if we have to go to court, we can defend it. Because if they pay nothing after that supplement and you show that they owed it, they just didn't pay it, they could be liable for double damages and attorney's fees. I mean, these are some big penalties. So a lot of times the insurance companies will pay a portion of it so that they can say, hey, we received that supplemental estimate, we considered it, and we paid what we thought was undisputed, which is another payment. And then typically what happens is after they make the undisputed payments and we feel like there's, they're not going to pay anything else voluntarily, that's when you file suit and you try to get the rest. But basically, these insurance companies have the duty to pay what's undisputed. So when they walk through and send you a check, you can cash it and use it, but then you need to prove that the damages are more than what they paid you, and that's what Kevin does. So let's go to a break. We're going to a little early break, and we'll hopefully get a better connection with Kevin. We'll be right back on the IDA Recovery Connection with Attorney Doug Sunseri and Kevin Manali. We'll be right back after this brief timeout.
It's hurricane season. Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will your roof leak? Will the siding feel
Okay,
wet?
I have Tom,
flood?
who is calling from
If your
Gretna.
house
He
is
lives in a
properly built and
historical
maintained,
neighborhood,
you'll be
and
fine.
he has some questions. A question about is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
any
Rich
difference
on the last few
between a
years.
regular
No,
neighborhood and a
headphones don't
historical
work.
neighborhood?
Volatility making you feel uneasy. Are you confident your retirement income strategy is built to endure a financial storm? Now may be a great time to get an evaluation on your retirement strategy. This is Glenn Pellis with Gulf South Guarantee. Call us now so we can show you how you can weatherproof your retirement nest egg. Call now for a no obligation appointment. Don't let your retirement get caught in the rain. Call us at 877-615-4312.
Doug, who's on the line?
That's 877-615-4312. Or find us on the web at golfsouthguarantee.com.
You love people and people love you.
Your friends depend on you.
You believe in having a good time, but when times are tough, you become.
Okay, we got him on, and it's much better.
You're from
Louisiana.
I thought
it would
be. And Louisiana is a state of mind.
Who's on the line?
Tom from Gretna.
Tom from Gretna.
Questions about insurance and historical neighborhood considerations.
All gone.
And we're all still here.
We love Louisiana, and we love you.
Lori has designed a pendant for you.
And I'm giving you one for free.
It's called Louisiana is a State of Mind.
Out-of-towners will ask you about it.
And you're going to enjoy telling them about the resilience of Louisiana.
Louisiana is a state of mind.
We're making 5,000 pendants.
To claim one for yourself or someone you love, visit Ramses.com.
All we need is your name and email address.
We'll set one aside for you.
And send you a reminder if you forget.
But never forget that we love you.
Go to Ramses.com.
Okay, you're going to have a full 10 minutes before the top of the hour.
West End and Metairie.
This is Attorney Doug Sunseri, host of All Things Legal on Sunday morning.
This is Attorney Michelle Demarest Sunseri. As a result of COVID-19, many are experiencing unique family law difficulties resulting in divorce and custody issues.
Also, we learn the importance of estate planning, wills, and powers of attorney.
At Nico and Sunseri Law Firm, we make the complex understandable.
Call me at my Metairie office at 504-837-1304.
Or call me, the boss lady, on the North Shore at my new office in Mandeville at 985-624-9697.
Boss lady, really?
Come on down to the Silver Slipper.
Hi, this is John from the Silver Slipper Casino, and I'm inviting you to join us every Thursday for our annual Rumble on the Gulf classic car, Jeep, and bike event. Now, everyone's invited and admission is free. Our new beach bar and beach cafe will be open under the hotel every Thursday, starting at 4 p.m. So come and join us and earn a chance to win that fabulous Harley-Davidson Heritage Classic Softail that's on display up on the casino floor. We're on the beach here in Hancock County, Silver Slipper Casino. We are proud to be your host on the coast.
Have a good time at the Silver Slipper.
Tackling your business's finance to-dos can be daunting enough without being slowed down by QuickBooks. More like slow books. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 financial system, no matter how big your business grows. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more, NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. Special financing is back. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program only for those ready to switch today. Head to netsuite.com/radio right now. netsuite.com/radio.
Odyssey's going back to school, and we've got all the supplies.
Okay, right after this one, we go
live.
live.
Music stations and podcasts to help you or your student excel. Wake up and get the school day started with Acoustic Sunrise, the best mix of acoustic pop. Hit the books with classical Odyssey, passionate classical music to help you focus while you study. Listen to Essential School podcasts like Grammar Girl's quick and dirty tips for better writing, and be inspired with TED Talks Daily. Get back to school with new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts on Odyssey.
Back to the Ida Recovery Connection on the station you turn to when it counts. WWL, the Big 870 AM, 105.3 FM, WWL.com, and the Odyssey app. Contact attorney Doug Sunseri now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Attorney Doug Sunseri, the Ida Recovery Connection, answering all your hurricane, Ida insurance questions. You know, we just cut a new commercial, so we don't have the COVID commercial. It should be starting soon with the boss lady. And actually, I'll tell you this story real quick before we get into this. To Tom, I was arguing a case in front of the First Circuit Court of Appeals in front of a judge, and what happens is you sit and you answer a bunch of questions by a panel of 3 judges, and they just shoot it at you like, they shoot these questions at you, and you got to be ready for it. So this judge said, I'm going to ask you a question that's going to make a determination as to how I'm going to rule on this case. And I said, okay. And I started tensed up, and I said, oh, here it comes. And the judge wants to know who's the boss, me or my wife, as per the commercial? And I responded, it depends on what time of day it is. And he said, good answer. Then he asked me his next question. So therefore, that's it with the boss lady who's in the other room right now. Let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Tom. He's got a question regarding historical district and repairs. Hey, Tom, you and All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri, and Kevin Manally's on the line.
Hey, Tom, I was wondering, great information you've been giving up. Appreciate
Thank
it.
You. Thank you.
If you live in a historical district, how could that affect you one way or another?
Oh, that's a great question.
What the city says or where you live?
A lot of times when you do the repairs, especially if you're grandfathered in, they're going to require you to use certain materials to do the repairs that are a lot more expensive than, market value materials. So you're going to have to read your policy to determine whether the insurance company would pay for, in essence, code upgrades or compliance with historical provisions or, new provisions in that particular community. So, and also, too, you have to see whether you have actual cash value policy or replacement cost value. All those factors determine as to what extent, because I've had a lot of insurance companies say, we're not going to pay for what the historical district's going to require you to, the materials you use. We're only required to pay the market value materials. And so that's a very, very difficult question. A lot has to do with the policy provisions of your policy. So I would look for in your policy some issues, some provisions regarding code upgrades, whether, if there's some type of historical requirement that they indicated they would pay for or they would exclude. And so it's going to have to, or whether it's replacement cost versus actual cash value. So all those factors will determine, whether, the insurance company would have to pay for the enhanced cost for complying with those historical district regulations in its repair. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a challenge looking at it so far.
No, I know, and that's the thing. You're gonna have to white knuckle that one, and you're just gonna have to get after it. And and that's a tough issue, and they're gonna beat you over the head with the fact that they're saying we're only required to pay actual cash value, pay upgrades or anything like that. So that's a tough issue. And our position is, well, you insured it that way, and you can't. That's it's illegal to do it the way you want us to do it. So that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's a tough issue. But like I said, just advocate. Insurance companies want to close files. They don't want 500,000 open files in 2 years. They just don't. They want to close these files and move on and contain their losses. And so, a lot of times early in the process, they say no. Later in the process, they say yes. And you've got 2 years to sue. So you got a lot of times to work with them and stay after it and just, keep the claim open. And, I'm going to say a little trick. When I have bad claims, a lot of times I'll let them sit for a while because the insurance companies, when they get older, they want to throw more money on it to close the file. So a lot of times if you wait them out, they'll often, throw some money on the claims because they want to close it out. So that would be my advice for you. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, Tom. All right, Kevin, do we have a better connection? Because I'm tired of getting these texts telling how bad these connections are with you.
Well, let's try it and see.
All right, you're better. So all you people who are texting about Kevin's bad connection, y'all can stop. All right, Kevin, we're talking about the Xactimate program. We got about 3 minutes before the news. What can homeowners do when their own claims, the insurance company's claims adjuster is walking through to help improve their claim? And one of the things I told one of the homeowners who had a lot of water spots, and I'll take a blue piece of tape and put it in all this water stains, so when you walk through, you won't miss them, and it'll be easy to identify. But what advice would you have for the homeowner who's preparing for a claims adjuster from the insurance company to come over?
Yeah, well, that's a very good way to identify, because as the homeowner, when you see a lot of damage or different damage, you'll probably not remember where all of it is. And that's really important when the adjuster's there, because you want to be able to point out every little thing that you see that could be attributed to the storm coming through. The more things you can point out, the more he can get right in the very onset, the better the adjustment's going to come out. And it's important to be nice to the adjuster, be respectful. Don't, verbally attack the adjuster, because as soon as you do that, he's going to shut down. And when he shuts down, he's not listening to you anymore. And if he's not listening to you, you can point out the damages all you want, but he's going to put in there what he's going to put in there. So if you're nice up front and you're cordial, and I'm not saying don't be firm, I'm just saying be cordial, be human. And, some of the complaints I've heard from adjusters before, just unbelievable how they're treated, but they are there to help. And sometimes their hands may be tied to a degree of what they can actually put in, because, it may be the next level would be the one where they'll catch a lot of the other stuff. And that's where we kind of come in and start at that next level. So, but yeah, just be cordial, be nice, and see where it goes. And, once it's done, that doesn't mean, you can't make a further claim if they missed a bunch of stuff.
And for example, we had our good friend Andre, I won't tell her last name, but, she lives by herself, and she's just overwhelmed because the house was really in a bad condition, and there's water stains all over the place. And the adjuster's coming over, and she's just so overwhelmed. I said, look, spend the next few days, every water stain you see on a wall or on the ceiling, just put a blue piece of tape. And that over the course of, 3 or 4 days, you're probably going to get it all. And so that when the adjuster comes in, all the blue tape will demonstrate the water stain, because basically if it's wet, it's got to come out, when it comes to sheetrock ceilings and that sort of thing.
Right.
And okay.
Right. And the blue tape's a wonderful thing to do.
And also too, real quick, we got about a minute before we go to break. Why does wet sheetrock have to come out, and why can't it be dried out?
Well, the wet sheetrock, it just depends on the level of when it gets wet. If it just gets water on it and it dries pretty quick, that's going to be okay. But if it's saturated and it stays wet for any length of time, the gypsum board itself will kind of chalk out a little bit and start breaking down. I'm not saying it's going to break down to the point where it would be useless, but, being that it's wet already, it's going to be a perfect breeding ground for mold. And mold's that nasty word that nobody ever wants to hear or address. But, in order to have mold, you have to have wet. And so if you got mold, it got wet. It needs to come out, because you'll never get that mold under control, because surface treatments won't get down deep enough to actually get into the sheetrock. And the mold will always be there, just waiting for the next time there's any type of moisture or high humidity. It'll just be sitting there waiting to blossom on that on the sheetrock, and you won't see it because it'll be on the inside of the wall, but it'll still be in your house.
So one of the things is, if your claims adjuster, you got water stain, and the adjuster says that'll dry out, you're saying absolutely not. That's one of the issues you become firm on. Now, the two things we're going to talk about. Go ahead, Kevin.
No, I was going to say, you can be firm on that, but don't be surprised if they don't allow it.
Right.
That's one of the things that a lot of times we have to make a case for.
We have 1 minute.
And then the two things we're going to talk about after the hour is mold, the misconceptions about mold exclusions. And I'll tell you that context. We had a client tell us today. And also floors. When floors need to be changed, a lot of times the insurance company will say, no, floors just need to be cleaned. But yet, we're going to tell you, talk about the golf ball test. If you got wood floors, and you saw I'm an expert on that, Kevin, and, determination as to whether the floors need to be replaced or they can be dried out. And a lot of times the insurance company will say, oh, they can just be dried out and cleaned. And no, they need to be replaced. Okay, that's hour number one. We'll be back for hour number two after national news, local news. Kevin's going to hang on through the break. So we'll be out here for hour number two. We're on until 10 o'clock on the Ida Recovery Connection. Stay tuned and see you in about 10 minutes.
The News Talk sports leader, WWL New Orleans, WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, and Odyssey Station.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper in Chicago. The clock is ticking as final ballots are cast in California's recall election on whether to replace Governor Gavin Newsom. CBS's Steve Futterman.
The polls are open for one more hour here as California for a second time decides whether or not to recall its governor. The only other time occurred in 2003 when actor Arnold Schwarzenegger became California's top office holder. Voters must answer two questions. First, should Newsom be removed? Then, if he's removed, who should replace him? The candidate topping the list of possible replacements is conservative talk show host Larry Elder. Here at his headquarters, it's quiet right now. Later, they hope to celebrate. Steve Futterman, CBS News, Costa Mesa, California.
A soon-to-be-released book by Bob Woodward and co-author Robert Costa alleges Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley took secret action in early January to prevent then-President Trump from doing something rash. CBS's David Martin reports the book called Peril also details the final rift between Mr. Trump and his vice president.
The book also quotes Trump as telling his always loyal Vice President Mike Pence that if he didn't refuse to certify the election results, quote, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Trump later told Pence, quote, you've betrayed us, I made you, you were nothing.
Tropical storm Nicholas leaves Texas and slowly crawls through Louisiana, dumping more rain. CBS's Janet Shamlian reports from Beaumont, Texas.
Tonight, some parts of southern Louisiana are bracing for as much as 10 inches of rain. More than 5 million people are under flash flood watches. And more than 250,000 customers across Texas and Louisiana are still without power.
Ground gained in fighting COVID is lost due to the Delta variant. New COVID cases and deaths have climbed back to levels not seen since last winter. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez reports from Stuart, Florida.
There are more signs tonight of COVID's worsening grip. Both cases and deaths nationwide remain dangerously high, equal to levels from last winter's devastating surge. The latest hotspots, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee.
And comedian Norm Macdonald, who anchored Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update in the 90s, has died after a years-long battle with cancer. He was 61. A week after his defeat in the 1996 presidential election, Bob Dole met Norm Macdonald on set, the man who portrayed him on SNL, and took issue with his impersonation.
Come November 5th, a lot of people are going to be surprised by Bob Dole because Bob Dole's going to win this election.
Doesn't sound a thing like me. First of all, I don't run around saying Bob Dole does this and Bob Dole does that. That's not something Bob Dole does.
Let's start this weekend at the White House. From Washington to the world, correspondent Steve Futterman is in New Zealand. Catch the CBS News Weekend Roundup on the radio and online.
What can give you a competitive edge in today's red-hot housing market? Rocket can. That's because Rocket Mortgage can give you a verified approval. It could help your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Are you a true crime super fan? Join award-winning 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty on the My Life of Crime podcast. Named the 2021 Digiday Best Podcast, each episode pulls you straight into the investigations, including a New York City after-party gone horribly wrong, a cold-blooded teen killer looking for a retrial, and more. Season 3 coming this fall. Follow My Life of Crime on Apple Podcasts or wherever
all clear.
you get your podcasts.
I had one request for the telephone number to get your memo, and if you could give that telephone number real slow.
The music makes your heart beat faster, from the 1976 original Rocky film to his defeat of Apollo Creed in Rocky II, as the intrepid Philly boxer yells, "Yo, Adrian! Martin Nolan at Julian's Auctions in London says people viewing the 500 items going on the block will see
boxing gloves, the boots.
Then there's a collection of knives from Stallone's Rambo franchise.
They drew first blood, not me.
There are also costumes and other items from Stallone's biggest films, from Cliffhanger to Demolition Man. Allison Keys, CBS News.
WWL First News, I'm Matt Doyle on your official weather station, WWL AM/FM and .com.
Heavy rainfall continues with a widespread 1 to 3 inches of accumulation already, and we'll likely see another few inches before the night. Now, as we head into tomorrow, it does look like drier air may help us out, as that is helping to rip the storm apart and allow for more of that break in the rain to move in for the day tomorrow. And we're back to more scattered showers as we head into Thursday and Friday. So while not dry, it does look like we'll see fewer showers over the coming days.
The forecast from your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Chris Franklin, is just minutes away. And some local leaders say people with roof damage from Ida will see their homes further impacted by Nicholas's rains, and that's a federal failure. WWL's Dave Cohen tells us only a small fraction of people who apply for blue roofs have actually gotten one.
The president of Lafourche Parish blames the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for not kicking the blue roof program into high gear sooner.
A sad thing that we're probably going to have some more damage to people's homes because they couldn't get off the ground fast enough.
Archie Chasson said he had to use colorful language to get the Corps to bring more crews in to blue roof more homes in Lafourche. He said he also had to get colorful in his comments to FEMA because they're not providing people places to live after their homes were heavily damaged.
Killing us a couple of months before the first trailer would arrive.
He says he's hitting the frustration point trying to get programs off the ground.
And Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards announces another death linked to Hurricane Ida.
A 70-year-old male in St. Tammany Parish died due to heat from an extended power outage. This brings the total number of Hurricane Ida-related deaths to 29.
Of the 29, 13 were attributed to the heat and 6 were attributed to carbon monoxide poisoning. And FEMA clarifies that you may receive reimbursement for the purchase of a chainsaw or generator, but only under specific conditions. FEMA spokesperson John Mills says you can get up to $250 for a chainsaw, but you need to document exactly why you needed it.
To be eligible, the chainsaw must have been used to gain access to the home or remove hazards from the home.
To potentially be reimbursed up to $800 for the purchase or rental of a generator, you had to have purchased the device after August 26th while your power was out due to Ida.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast on WWL.
We may have some good news with Tropical Storm Nicholas. While the circulation is near Houston, the heaviest of the rain is more over southeast Louisiana, a distance of more than 200 miles. So this is not a well-established storm any longer. And even if that circulation is able to get back over the Gulf waters, we are not expecting any re-intensifying of the storm or redevelopment, as dry air has really taken over. And in fact, we're already seeing drying conditions along the southwestern part of our viewing area. And we may see more breaks in the rainfall and certainly more breaks during the day tomorrow. We have had a widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain with some higher amounts in localized areas. And although we may add to those totals by another couple of inches, I don't think we're going to see the 4 to 8 inches of widespread rain accumulation associated with Nicholas. It looks like the rainfall may underperform from what was at one time forecasted, which is certainly some good news. Not that we're out of the woods from any flooding, but it does look like that would be a little bit more localized in terms of a widespread as opposed to a widespread issue. We're not done with the rainfall, unfortunately. Scattered showers, some thunderstorms will still be with us through the week and into the weekend. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin.
And I'm Matt Doyle, WWL First News.
From the station you turn to when it counts, WWL-AMFM.com and the Odyssey app, Louisiana's official emergency management station. This is Ida Recovery Connection with attorney Doug Sunseri. Connect now on the Oakwinhart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870. Now, beaming back to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studio, here's Doug.
Hey, we're here for hour number 2. Doug Sunseri, Ida Recovery Connection, answering your Hurricane Ida questions. You call in. I got Kevin Manali on the line. And I'm going to digress for a second, Kevin. Did you hear the Rocky auction during the news? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
You know, when I was at LSU, we used to have Rocky Tuesday, because you could get in and watch Rocky 3 in 1982 for $1. And then we could eat all you could eat at the Dragon King right around the corner for $2.99. And so we did that for about 17 weeks in a row. So we watched Rocky 3, and the outcome was always the same. He did take
never changes.
He did take Clubber Lang in 3 rounds in the last fight. So anyway, he went back to the basics. He didn't. That's like Nick Saban. You handle that success. You got to go back to the gym at all times. You can't be full of yourself. But
that's correct.
We're going to take a few texts in a little while. But Kevin, I wanted to ask you 2 things. First of all, a lot of people. I've got some complaints today from clients that are saying, in connection with their flood claim, which we're going to have to address the difference between a flood and homeowners policy. We're going to have to do that throughout the course of the next 4 weeks. We'll be on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 8 to 10, all the way to mid-October. So we'll have to address that, number one. But
yes, we will.
But I know, especially in St. John's Parish and St. Charles Parish, because the interaction between the flood claims and the wooden claims is, and we're going to go over a little bit of it today. But that gets complicated at times. But
I've already talked to one that's where it's already complicated and it's already started.
This is already started. I know. And at what point with flooring can it be? Does the saturation level get enough where you have to replace the flooring as opposed to letting it dry out and maybe cleaning it up? What is the threshold for that? Whether you get water from flood or you get it from coming from the roof.
Well, you're going to have a couple different things with that. If it's
I've got Frank from Homa, and he has a question about home equity and insurance.
The floor should be changed either way, no matter what. That's highly contaminated water with petrochemicals, all different other types of probably pesticides. You're going to have sewage. You're going to have everything under the sun that's going to be in that water. So it's very contaminated. So the flooring should be replaced.
Especially if it's flood waters. Especially if it's flood.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If it's flood water, it definitely should be replaced. But again, you'll have a lot of adjusters won't write it. They'll just do regrout. If it's ceramic tile, regrout and clean. That seems to always be the thing. And of course, we fight always for replacing the floors. If it's rainwater, now that's a little different because that's Category 2 water. Your floors can get wet from rainwater. If you have a high buildup of water on it, if it's ceramic tile, it usually will take a while to penetrate. So if the water is removed from the floor, maybe within 8 to 10 hours or so, it's not going to be to that threshold where the floors would have to be replaced, being if it's ceramic or even if it's a good quality vinyl plank or a luxury vinyl tile or something along that line. Where you get the problems is that if you have an area on the floor that might be a little bit lower and the water just sits on it. Now, if it's glued down, the likelihood of having to replace it is less. Now, if you have a floating, let's say a wood floor that floats, okay, that has to go. Or if you have a vinyl plank floor that floats, that's going to have to go too, because the pad that's under that vinyl plank will absorb the water and hold it. So the only way to get the pad out is to remove the floor, the plank that's on top. So in the only circumstances that I could see where you may not have to replace the floor is in like a vinyl tile that's glued down, or not a wood floor, I'm sorry, either a vinyl tile, a vinyl plank, or a ceramic tile. Now, if you have a real wood floor that's glued down, depending on how long the water sits, you could have some issues with cupping or some expansion issues where the floor itself won't actually release, but the floor itself will expand in its directions that when it contracts, it may gap the other boards around it. So you may have bigger gaps now. And so you do have damage. It's not readily, it's not easily seen by someone who doesn't know what to look for. So, and then again, if the water sits long enough, Category 2 water can become Category 3 water. Okay, it will fall in the definition of Category 3, at which time the floor should be replaced.
Now, real quick, before we go to Frank, he's got a question. Tell us about the golf ball test, which you can use it for, and to help homeowners determine whether there's a problem with their floors.
Okay. The golf ball test is basically used on ceramic tile, mostly on ceramic tile. You can take a golf ball and bounce it off of the four corners of a tile and go one in the center if you want. If the tile is solid down, if it's solidly glued or solidly adhered to the slab by the thin set or the mud base that it's in, the ball should sound the same on the four corners and the center and should bounce back up to you about the same height. If you bounce it on many tiles in your house and you get a dead spot where the ball hits and it's kind of dead, it doesn't bounce back up that much, and you get that hollow sound, that says that the tile has released. It is no longer adhered to the slab. You get that through a lot of different spots in the house, especially if the house is flooded, which is normally where you'll get this. That's a perfect indication that the floor has released and needs to be replaced. You can do the same thing on wood floor if it's glued down. A nailed down wood floor, you can get some of the same things, but it could be misleading because of the flooring itself, where it's nailed down. If you hit a spot that has a nail in it, of course, that's going to be way more secured than a spot that doesn't have the nails in it. So the nail down is a little bit tricky, but the glue downs and the ceramic tiles that are in a mud base or just in thin set they're easy to hear if there's an issue with release.
Okay, in that case,
so if they're released, then they should be replaced.
That's like a little test. You could give an indication as to if there's a problem or not.
Right. It just indicates that there's hollow spots between the slab or the thin set or the glue and the floor itself.
All right.
So it's the hollow spot that hasn't adhered.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Frank. He's got a question regarding insurance and his home equity loan. Hey, Frank, you're on the Ida Recovery Connection with Doug Sunseri.
And thank you all for having this show. It's very helpful. So if you have a home equity line of credit with a major bank, and you have a zero balance, can your insurance company tell you that you have a lien on your home and they're going to either hold your payment up or perhaps even send it to the bank itself?
Well, generally, if you got a zero balance, the insurance company may put the bank as a payee on any insurance checks. But what you'd have to do in that situation, if it's a local bank, I would walk it over there and get them to, endorse it and give it back to you and say, we have a zero balance. Now, they may say if the equity line is open, you may draw on it later, so therefore we want to assure the security. That's sort of a tough question because it's probably written into your loan agreement that they would be, payees for any type of insurance payments. And even though your balance would be a zero, you have the potential to draw on that particular line. So they may want to send an inspector out there. But if you have a relationship, if it's a local bank and you have a relationship with them, I would go to your loan officer and say, look, I got a zero balance. I need to get these contractors paid. Will you just sign off on it, endorse it, and give it back to me? And I think they would have the discretion to do that, especially if you've been a good customer. Now, sometimes that's a little tougher if you're dealing with out-of-state banks or online banks because they sort of like a socialized. They treat you like a socialized matter. One size fits all, and they have to go through a checklist. Some of them aren't allowed to use their brain and their common sense in determining whether they can sign the check or not because they have so much oversight and so many regulations that they have to follow. But I've
been having this line of credit for like 25 years and very seldom use it. And during Katrina, I had a roof. They paid for a new roof, and this subject never came up.
Well, is it a local bank?
Well, it's you mind me telling you?
No, you can tell me. You tell me who it is.
It used to be the Whitney. It's not a Hancock.
That's okay. Well, you probably have a local loan officer. What I would do?
Yeah.
What I would do is just go and say, look, I want to see one of the loan officers or whoever your loan officer is or your bank rep, and say, look, I've got this insurance check. They put Whitney Hancock as a payee. I have a zero balance. Would you please endorse it so I can pay off my contractors? They might have to make a few calls. They might have to make a few calls. They might have to call their attorney. But I think they do have the discretion to do that. All right.
Well, I did put the insurance adjuster in touch with a person at the bank and I'm hoping that they can arrange to just
Well, I think they're going
deposit the check in my account.
I think they're going to put Whitney Hancock as a payee, but Whitney Hancock can endorse the check. In other words, they can stamp it.
I understand that, yeah.
And if you have a personal relationship with a banking officer, I think they could probably do that for you, especially being a long-time customer, 25 years, and you hadn't really drawn on the line. So I think they could do that. I think it's a lot easier to do it face-to-face rather than dealing with someone.
So what would they take the local office and send the check to the local office?
Well, the insurance company is going to write the check to you and Hancock Whitney. What they could actually do is endorse the check on the spot. They could take their little stamp, endorse it, Hancock Whitney. So you could take that check and deposit it into your account because
So
Hancock Whitney already agreed
to. The check will be sent to me.
Yeah.
The check will be sent to me.
Sent to you, and you go to Hancock Whitney and ask them to endorse it.
Yeah.
And then you deposit in your account. All right, my man?
I understand.
All right.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri on the IDA Recovery Connection with Kevin Manali, claims adjusters on the line. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
Want to go someplace new? Yeah, you do.
Just follow me. I'll lead the way.
Welcome to CBS Mornings.
See something new.
Oh my God, that was a good moment. Learn something new. This is my first virtual reality interview.
Meet someone new. Like me. Nate B in the house.
There's always something new under the sun.
I came to shine because you guys are shining this morning.
CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
Okay, we're clear. No calls right now.
I'm gonna read off.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Concentrated all-purpose Simple Green is the answer for versatile cleaning throughout your home and garage. I'm so certain you'll love Simple Green. If you're not 100% satisfied, I'll give you your money back. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green, Simple Green. Since 1935, the All-State Sugar Bowl has been a proud New Orleans New Year's Day tradition. Through its annual support of college football and amateur sports, the Sugar Bowl attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors to the state, providing countless opportunities for young people. Resources from these events enable the Sugar Bowl to support education and community programs, impacting thousands of New Orleans area teachers and citizens. The All-State Sugar Bowl, proud to host the best of the Big 12 and the SEC in the Superdome on New Year's Day 2022.
This is Bobby Hebert from my friends at Clearwater Pools and Spas, your staycation headquarters. Let us make your backyard a great family vacation spot for the summer. They're the trusted leader in water treatment and offer the largest selection in above-ground pools, spas, and hot tubs, including hot spring spas. They're the only factory authorized and trained in pristine blue and oxygen sanitizing systems. Visit CWNOLA.com or one of our locations in Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, and Pearl, Mississippi. Clearwater Pools and Spas.
Hey, we get it. You don't want to be hearing a Progressive commercial right now, so let us tell you something you do want to hear. You are intelligent. You make all the right decisions. You were smart before smart was cool, and you made it cool again. You have a wealth of knowledge, and you are so very clever. I bet you already knew I was going to say that, you genius. There, don't you feel better? You'll also feel better when you hear you could save big when you switch to Progressive. But I'm pretty sure you already knew that, too. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Fruits and vegetables are very environmentally friendly foods. Make them even more friendly by eating them in season and by choosing produce that is local and organic. Shopping at farmers markets are a great way to do both. And start growing fruits and vegetables in your own garden.
Here we go.
Even if you live in an apartment, you can start with just a few potted plants. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Thanks for joining attorney Doug Sunseri on the IDA Recovery Connection. From the station you turn to when it counts, WWL. Consult with Doug now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, the IDA Recovery Connection, answering your questions regarding Hurricane Ida insurance questions. And Kevin, you ready for some text?
Ready.
All right. Well, okay. The first text I received is stating that State Farm is not paying additional living expenses. So we're going to segue into that. Unfortunately, I'm no longer friends with Vito Corleone, so we're going to have to do this a different way.
Yep.
And so, knowing Vito would be helpful in certain situations in law, as a lawyer. But anyway, my daughter, my brilliant daughter, Katie, who takes more after Michelle than myself, wrote a chronology of all the government officials in Southeast Louisiana who said, stay away if you can, go away, don't come back, and curfews and that sort of thing. She wrote it, and if you want a copy of it, you can call us at our law firm at 504-837-1304, 504-837-1304. And it's a chronology of all the times a government official said, before the storm, go away if you can. It was too late for a formal evacuation, but go. And after the storm, they said, don't come back. And they put curfew. So I had that, and that chronology may help you sell your claims adjuster to pay additional living expenses. Next one, how do you contact Kevin? Does he need to come before or after the adjuster? Thanks, Bill W. Well, first of all, Kevin, what's your phone number? Somebody want to contact you.
My number is 504-952-5643.
Now, do you have to go?
Call me at any time.
Do you have to go before or after the adjuster comes? And which, as far as from what you need to do.
My position is, I personally prefer to go after the adjuster comes, because I like to look at their scope of work. I can usually get a pretty good handle on how good the adjuster is just by the work he produces. And for me, I can use their work as a basis to set up and to see what they miss. It's for me, it's a little bit easier. However, I guess with that being said, it's not unusual for me to go before the adjuster gets there, because I can assess the damages as I see them and dig a little deeper into what could be damaged. And then I can usually wait to get the adjuster's report. And then I can go ahead and compile my new estimate or my supplemental estimate in lieu of what he writes.
So
I can basically combine my notes with his work to come up with a supplemental estimate.
And but it'd always be good for you to see it before the repairs are done, because
it's easier for me to see it before the repairs are done.
So,
however, in some instances that's not possible, and
sometimes we're retained after the repairs are done.
Yeah, it's not routine after. We can recreate the damages usually with photographs and that the homeowner may have. That's why it's important to take a lot of photographs before repairs are made. And just through talking with the homeowner and looking at those pictures, I can usually recreate a lot of the damages that would have occurred or did occur, just through information like that and get it right.
Now, it's my preference as an attorney for my experts to see the damage fresh and before, because there's a degree of separation if you see it after. So, we do try to get the adjusters out there before any repairs are done and see it in its raw condition, right, because it's probably
it's better that way. It's definitely better that way.
And then
usually that only happens in the first
first phase
few weeks,
right?
Because once the first phase is over and checks start going out, repairs start being made, and so then it's the aftermath. But then again, on the construction site itself, you can still see what new materials and what new areas where the work's being done, and it should correspond with what the adjuster has. And if it doesn't correspond, that's when I can pick up all those items that had to be done in order to get from A to Z.
Okay,
to make that repair properly. It's not unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just got another text from 5723 asking you to very slowly repeat your number.
Okay, I'll say it again. 504-952-5643.
952-5693. Is that right?
43. You got it.
Right.
That's it. I do talk.
You know how I remember numbers? By football numbers. Like my phone number My cell phone is Drew Brees, Ricky Jackson, Tony Galbraith. 957-5734. That's how I remember it. So,
I give mine out a lot, so I remember just the numbers.
All right.
Whatever works.
Next question. Should I get a copy of the claims adjuster's report from the insurance company? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And first of all, you would use it to determine if they have sufficient scope. And you also have an issue regarding the labor cost and the supply cost that they put into the estimate. Can you tell me a little bit about that and some of the discrepancies you get into with the insurance companies as to those costs?
Sure. Insurance companies through the program itself can actually create their own price structure and create their own price list. The price list and the price structure that I use is the general price list for the area at the time. At the time the damages and all that occur. So I get more of a generalization where sometimes the insurance companies can use their own price structure. So what I do when I do the supplemental estimates, I go through their price structure and I compare it to what the general charges are by most of the licensed and insured contractors that are working in that area. And if they're very close, then that's good. If you might have an item that might be way off, and if that's the case, I dig a little further to see is it off because it's not a like kind quality that they're putting in, or if it is a like kind quality and that particular price is off, I can correct that price in the supplemental estimate that I generate to account for the difference. And just to give you a quick example, let's say you have a high quality ceramic tile in your house and it needs to be replaced. So you flooded and it needs to be replaced. And they might have $9 a square foot to do it. Well, my software might say it's $11 a square foot. So I'm going to put that extra $2 entry in, even though it may not sound like a lot, but you do that over 2,000 square feet, that's $4,000, so it is a big deal, and so those are the type of little things that I catch when I do my supplemental estimates.
And the bottom line on that is sometimes the insurance companies may use pricing prior to the hurricane, but once you have a hurricane and you have the magnitude of damage you had in Southeast Louisiana,
everything's fluid after a hurricane.
Right.
Yeah.
And prices,
and it depends a lot on supply and demand too.
Right.
And what materials are available. There's just a lot that goes into the pricing, and if you're not aware of how to manage that, then it can be an issue.
So again, a lot of times the pricing could go up 30 or 40%. And before, unlike Katrina, before you already had supply disruptions with COVID. So that's sort of a double whammy here.
Correct.
So a lot of the pricing is skyrocketed, which may not be accounted for in the insurance company adjuster's report. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one I think I'll take. Is it possible to get yard damage from a tree removal covered? Also, oops, you move it on me. Also, what do I do with that hot tub that isn't heating properly because after getting power back? Well, first of all, as far as trees are concerned, if your tree landed on a structure, a fence, or a fence or a structure or some type of shed, then you could recover the whole cost of the tree removal. If the tree fell and did no damage, then you would have to look at your policy to figure out what is the maximum limit for tree removal, which is normally $500. So the key is, as far as trees are concerned, did it fall on the structure, on a garage, another structure, or a fence? If it did that and it fell on that, or a portion of it's on there, you can recover the entire cost for the tree removal. But if it just fell down and it didn't damage anything else, you'll have to go to the provisions of the policy that says a maximum payment for tree removal, which is only normally $500. Also, debris removal the same way. Debris removal, they'll usually have a provision up to maybe $500 or $1,000. You have to read your policy. But debris removal is generally not recoverable under the structure. So let's go to a break. We got some more text that we're going to get to. Doug Sunseri, Ida Recovery Connection with guest Kevin Manali, building consultant, claims expert, estimate expert. And we'll be right back after this brief timeout.
It's good to see the teams back out on the gridiron. Lucky for us, that was just week 1. DraftKings, the official daily.
Okay, I have Ronald from Gretna who has an insurance question. That's Ronald from Gretna.
Customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit by signing up using code BIG870. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use code BIG870. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code BIG870 to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code BIG870. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
If you're considering senior care for your parent and the mega-sized facilities concern you, please consider Audubon Care Homes. Audubon was developed to provide the ultimate care for 10 residents. It's nestled in a beautiful Metairie neighborhood and provides amenities the big facilities simply can't offer, including the industry's highest caregiver-to-resident ratio. Take a virtual tour of Audubon Care Homes Dreyfus House by visiting their website at auduboncarehomes.com. That's auduboncarehomes.com.
Hey, Gulfport, we want your stuff. DependableStorage.com. Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Rejuvenate your mornings with Rejuvame. RejuvameMedical.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou.
Okay, one more after Big Lou. We'll go to tankless water heaters, and then we'll go live.
Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems. And if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-568-2790. That's 800-568-2790. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-568-2790.
Navien tankless water heaters, the proven leader in condensing technology. Request a Navien because you deserve the best in endless hot water delivery. Learn about Navien's condensing tankless water heaters and find a Navien contractor at tanklessmadesimple.com.
It's continuing coverage of the Ida Recovery on WWL-AMFM.com and the Odyssey app. Reach attorney Doug Sunseri now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri with Kevin Manali. I got a text, and I do want to do a clarification on the trees. When you have a tree on your structure, what they will pay for is to remove the tree from the structure, and they drop it, and then the cost of removal or the stump grinding is not part of the covered cost. So what the insurance companies say, the cost of removing the tree from the structure is covered, whatever that is. But the cost of they drop it, and the cost of removing it from that location is not. So that's a subtlety, and thank you for 9015 for pointing that out. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Ronald. In Gretna. He's got a question. Hey, Ronald, you on the Ida Recovery Connection with Doug Sunseri and guest Kevin Manali.
Yes, I am here. Thank you. I have a situation in my home. My neighbor's tree, my neighbor has a huge tree that fell down on my roof.
Yeah.
Nobody's living there, but I know that they are doing some repairs in the fence. My fence also came down because of that of the tree and the wind.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, since the tree is on my neighbor's yard. What is what I need to do? I filed a claim already with my insurance company, with Allstate, and also with FEMA. And I'm supposed to have an adjuster on Sunday.
Well,
but in the meantime, I would like to know how this is treated, since the tree is in the backyard that belongs to my neighbor.
It's our position that since the tree came from the neighbor, that the insurance company's got to pay to remove it. And so what you do is let the adjuster inspect it and get it off your roof, because you got to get it off your roof so you can blue tarp it. And then get it off your roof and then turn that charge into the insurance company subject to your deductible, along with the other damage. So what I would do is let the adjuster come see it. If he doesn't get out there soon, because you got to remove that tree, take a lot of pictures if he doesn't get out there. Get that tree off your roof and get it secured. And then turn that entire charge to the insurance company, because it's your neighbor's tree, and you should be paid for the entire amount to getting that tree out out front and out of your yard. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's see if Kevin, as far as other aspects, what are some of the disputes that you have with the insurance companies as to your estimates? What are the common disputes that you saw go to head with on insurance companies in connection with your supplemental adjustments? What are the common issues that are where the insurance companies see things differently than maybe you?
All the time would be a lot of times it's just simple things. Take for example, they may only allow a 2x2 patch for sheetrock that gets wet, in the ceiling. Then maybe they'll just give you this little 2x2 patch, but that's not really the way you're supposed to do it, because if you think the water is just sitting on this little bitty tiny 2x2 patch, you're kidding yourself. Water's going to run all over the place. And so I make sure that we get something bigger that usually goes stud to stud, because the drywall people are going to cut the sheetrock back to stud, so it's easier to put the new patch in. So that little 2x2 might actually be a half a sheet of plywood. I'm sorry, a half a sheet of drywall. Might be a 4x4 or something along that line, or it might be a full sheet of drywall that needs to be replaced. So you see that a lot with, you just want to give you the little area that's wet, but that's really not the right way to do it. And the other thing that goes along with that too is a lot of times you'll see new drywall will go up and they'll just have one coat of paint,
right?
Instead of the sealer and then two coats of paint, the sealer, the primer, and then usually a top coat. Sometimes depending on certain finishes or paints that are used, it might take an additional coat. So most of the time, these are the little things that are picked up on that, over the course of a full supplemental estimate, start adding up, especially if you got a lot of different rooms that we're talking about. It's just things like that, or a ceiling will get wet in a specific area and they won't change the light fixtures. They'll leave the light fixture out even though the homeowner says water was coming from the light fixture. Well, the last thing you want to do is leave an electrical appliance in the wall or in the ceiling where water's coming out of, so a lot of times it's just a lot of small things
that add up.
But then you also, it all adds up. And if they miss big things, usually that's going to be where trees fall on houses and things along that line, because a lot of the adjusters aren't, and I'm not saying all of them, there's some very good ones out there, but the new guys, the green guys, a lot of them aren't enough in structure.
The ones that would
really
understand,
know what they're looking at.
The ones that were dealing blackjack 6 weeks ago aren't going to have a full understanding as to home construction.
No,
that's a fair.
Not even close.
Okay, real quick, we got a text.
I'll give you a quick. Okay, go ahead.
Got a quick text about a hot tub that was damaged and doesn't heat anymore. What you're going to have to probably do, these hot tubs cost $12,000, $15,000, $10,000. You probably just have to get a repairman out there to tell you what's wrong with the hot tub and whether it was caused by the hurricane. if there's a causation between what happened to the hurricane and it not working, they should pay for that. Okay, Kevin, what else did you want to say?
No, that's it. It was just expounding on. I'll give you one example. I had a flood claim years ago. It was in the plus, and the flood adjuster allowed for everything. I mean, ceiling fans. He actually had ceiling fans and heat vent lights, which
was above the flood line. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course it was. It was up in the ceiling. So, these green guys go out there, and I understand why they use them, and they have to use them to get bodies out there. But, again, that's why I need to go behind them to make sure that these things get right. That way, it's most beneficial for the homeowners that we're trying to help out.
Now, one misconception we heard today was they had a wet wall that had mold on it. And the adjuster said, we're not going to cover the replacement because he has mold on it. Now, they do have a mold exclusion, but this is the context the mold exclusion works. Mold comes from wet walls. So if it's a wet wall, it comes out whether it has mold or not. So when you have an adjuster tell you on a wet wall that since it has mold, it's excluded, your adjustment's not going to be correct, and that he doesn't have a full knowledge. Now, the mold exclusion applies to, let's say you have 4 walls in a room. One is wet, and the other 3 are dry. And there's mold on the wet wall, jumps to the dry wall that's not wet. That's when the mold exclusion applies. Mold on a dry wall, meaning not dry wall, but a wall that's not wet. And so a lot of claims adjusters misinterpret the policies. And I will tell you that, sometimes the adjuster, sometimes you'll ask the adjuster a question and they'll say, I don't know, I have to read it. I'll have to get my supervisor, which is a good, honest, thoughtful answer because you're not going to know everything.
Correct.
But some adjusters will answer the question without knowing. And guess and give the answer as if it was fact. So
a lot of times with mold,
we have Margaret, and she has a question about power of attorney and insurance.
For the most part, if it jumps to a wall that is not wet or that is dry, most of the time that's just a surface mold that can be cleaned off by using the right type of antimicrobials and cleaning solution. That can be cleaned off because it's not through and through. It's just on the paint that's there.
Okay.
So
let's go to phone lines real quick. Let's go to Margaret. She's got a question. Hey, Margaret, you on the Ida Recovery Connection with Attorney Doug Sunseri and guest Kevin Manali.
Hi, thank you so much. My question's a little bit different.
Sure.
But I think you will be able to answer it. It is related to insurance, although it's not specific to an insurance adjuster or a claim. I manage my mother's property, and she's been has a home. It's paid off, and I'm not going to mention any insurance companies, but she's had insurance with the same insurance company for 50 to 60 years, probably closer to 60 years. And when Ida hit, I live in Florida, so when Ida hit, I immediately got on the internet, filed the claim as I take care of her properties and things for her. And I received a call from the insurance adjuster that the air and wind was dropped. So, of course, I'm not happy about that, right? She's got a policy she pays, but air and wind was removed. My mother is a very young 82-year-old and is adamant that she did not remove it and would not have removed it. So the first thing I did is I called the agency and said, hello, can you please give me proof? Can you tell me the month? Can you tell me the year? And so far I've gotten back, we cannot tell you that. We have no documentation, but we know she removed it.
Okay.
Are there is there anything out there where there should have been some sort of documentation? Because I'm at the point where I'm probably going to.
Let's do this. Let's go to a break because I'll answer your question on the other side of the break because we've got one more break before we finish. But it's basically we're going to talk about maybe you have an errors and omissions claim against the insurance agent as to why he took out that coverage. So we'll be right back for our final break on the Ida Recovery Connection with Doug Sunseri and guest Kevin Manala. We'll be right back after this brief timeout to answer Margaret's question.
It's good to see the teams back out on the gridiron. Lucky for us, that was just week 1. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, is putting you in the
this will
center
give
of the
you
action
about
for week 2. New
a
customers
little
can get a
under
free
6
shot at
minutes
millions
till the
of
top
dollars
of the
in
hour
total
end of the
prizes
show.
with their first deposit by signing up using code LA Sports. Get in on the action now. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Feel the NFL action like never before with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use code LA Sports. This week, new customers can get a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Enter code LA Sports to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. That's code LA Sports. Only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Boats require a little TLC. That's why I store my boat in Seabrook Harbor Marine's dry stack facility. And when my boat does need a repair, I turn to the craftsmen at Seabrook. Growing up on the bayou, I learned a lot about boat repair yards. And David and Jeff Montz have the finest repair facility I've ever seen. Jeff, tell us about your capabilities.
Bobby, we are the Gulf Coast's most advanced state-of-the-art yacht and boat repair facility. Be it fiberglass, paint, gel coat, carpentry, mechanical, or electrical repairs, we do it all. We also build custom parts and do complete refits. We are located near the ICW, which makes us accessible from anywhere along the Gulf Coast.
And now, party boat rentals.
What better way to beat the heat than our 24-foot pontoon boat? It's available for half and full day rentals. It's one more reason for us to say, boating made easy.
Seabrook Marina on France Road on the Industrial Canal, just a half mile from the lake. And online at SeabrookHarborMarine.com.
Pick winners, win cash. Yeah, we like to keep the message simple. Simple is good. So is money. Pick winners, win cash in the Rocket Mortgage Pro Football Pick'em. Just pick the winners for every game each week. Point spreads, lineups, caps. Nope, don't worry about them. Just pick winners every week. The grand prize this season is $10,000. Register now by texting PICKS to 20357. That's PICKS to 20357.
For 120 years, when it comes to diamond engagement rings, New Orleans has counted on guaranteed value at Adler's. I'm Newell Norman, and my family has been shopping at Adler's for generations. So I know when you buy a diamond from Adler's, you can be sure that it was selected for its quality and value by a member of the Adler family. And you can be sure of getting the best price, too. Deciding to purchase a diamond is a big decision. Deciding where to buy it is easy. Adler's Canal Street and the new flagship store, 2937 Vets near Causeway with easy parking.
As a Louisiana-based law firm, Mike Brandner Injury Attorneys has been handling hurricane claims for over 16 years. We know what you're going through, and we know how to help. Don't let your insurance company pay you less than you need to rebuild. Call Mike Brandner today. In New Orleans, call 504-345-1111. Or in the Hammond area, call 985-345-1111. Mike Brandner is ready to help you right now.
Call 345-1111.
Paid spokesperson, offices in Metairie and Hammond. Results may vary.
Tackling your business's finance to-dos can be daunting.
Going live right after this spot.
Slowed down by QuickBooks. More like slow books. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 financial system, no matter how big your business grows. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more, NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. Special financing is back. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program only for those ready to switch today. Head to netsuite.com/radio right now. netsuite.com/radio.
Back to Ida Recovery Connection on WWL-AMFM.com and the Odyssey app. You can get expert advice now from attorney Doug Sunseri on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
We're back. Doug Sunseri with guest Kevin Manala. I wanted to address something with Ronald regarding the fallen tree before we get to Margaret and her response. The fallen tree from a neighbor. You can't really sue or hold your neighbor responsible for a falling tree for an act of God unless the tree was diseased, that the other homeowner knew or your neighbor knew it was diseased and didn't do anything about it. That's the only way that you could collect from them if a tree falls on your property and maybe, the cost of removing the trees below your deductible as far as your homeowners are concerned. But I just wanted to add that to the answer. Now, Margaret's question was, she has power of attorney over her mother's estate property. She's a property manager, and that somehow the wind and hail coverage was removed from her policy from the insurance agent, and now that she doesn't have coverage. What you're going to have to do is the insurance agent may clam up at this point. You got to find out why it was removed. Did he have a direct communication? Was it in existence the year before? Was it in existence the year before that? If it was in existence the year before or the prior policy period and it's not now, then it would be incumbent on the insurance agent to show that there was some type of specific written directive or oral directive to remove this particular coverage. So that would be the issue. Now, if that coverage was taken out in absence of a directive from your mother's representative or your mother, then there would be a possible errors and omissions claim. Or, it'd be like a medical malpractice or professional liability claim in other professions. And insurance agents have that. In fact, it's very common. We're already having claims come in where the insured said, I didn't take this coverage out. The insurance agent said, well, you did. And so, we're going to have to sort that out. So I guess the question is, I would ask the insurance agent, what was your directive, or how did you receive, why was the coverage removed, and who gave you that directive? What was the date and time, and when was it given to you? And if you can't answer that, then you may have an errors and omission claim against the insurance agent.
So I did ask in writing.
And you got no response.
And I've gotten a verbal phone call from the agent themselves, and I'm going to keep that nameless.
Yeah.
And it was not. It was. The comment was, I can assure you, if it was removed, it's because your mother directed us to do so.
Well, tell him, okay, if you could assure it, just demonstrate when it occurred, what medium did it occur, and I'll be satisfied. If you don't get an answer, I would go see an attorney, because usually they could show an email, they could show some type of message. Because a lot, insurance agents, when they remove coverage, the good ones say, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And they even might write a CYA letter saying, hey, you are removing coverage that you need. And I don't recommend you do that, but you're instructing me to do that. So if he doesn't give you date, time, and place this occurred, I think you may want to go see an attorney.
So it has to be an attorney in order to get towards the errors and omissions.
Yeah. No, I don't think so, because you have no enforcement mechanism against the errors and omission, and I think they'll just treat you like a hockey goalie. They'll just keep flipping the puck back at you.
2 minutes.
They won't do it. Okay. Well, thanks for the call, Margaret. Thanks for the call. Kevin, if I know I'm getting some text, so one more time, if anybody wants to call you, what's your phone number?
504-952-5643.
All right, and thanks for joining us. Now, we're going to be on every Tuesday and Wednesday night from 8 to 10. You call us at 1-260-1870 or Texas. We'll get to your phone call. We'll answer it. We'll be on through mid-October. Now, our regular show, All Things Legal, will not be on Sunday mornings for the next 4 weeks because the Saints are playing at noon. So we're preempted because First Take starts at 8 o'clock with Steve Geller and Scott Alexander, a former De La Salle alum like myself. And so we won't be on, but I will be on the IDA Recovery Connection on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So we can tune in. Also, you can go to our Facebook page of Nico and Sunseri. We have the podcast recovered. You can go to odyssey.com. That's recorded. Also, we have a lot of great material on all these issues we post every other day. The issue of the day for the Hurricane Ida insurance claims, all the issues we posted on our website. We post blogs on our website. Our website is idahurricaneclaim.com. idahurricaneclaim.com is a bunch of blogs as to all the disputes with your hurricane claims, and we'll be glad to help you. Kevin, again, thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow night.
My pleasure.
And we'll be back tomorrow night with Eric White. He's a roofing consultant. He'll talk about roofing. We'll also maybe talk about business interruption and some of the other issues as you call in. So you guys, y'all have a wonderful night. Doug, thank you very much on the back at the studio. You did a great job. You keep me straight. I appreciate everything you do, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on the Ida Recovery Connection. Have a great night.
The News Talk Sports Powerhouse.
Hey, Doug. Thank you.
WWL New Orleans, WWL
Thank you, and good night.
Tenor New Orleans, and Odyssey Station.